Hello guys and welcome to this video. Now in this video we're going to be discussing the notes on the keyboard. So let's get into it. Okay, so notes on the keyboard. So when we look at the keyboard, as we have here, there's two main things we see at first. The first thing that we notice is that there's white keys and then there's black keys. And then the second thing we notice is that among the black keys, there's like two little sections. So there's the black keys section that has two notes and then there's one that has three. So now let's go about naming these notes. Now from an alphabet, there's seven, I believe, seven alphabets, musical alphabets. So that's A, B, C, D, E, F and G. So those are the seven musical notes. Now some of those notes have what we call sharps and flats attached to them, but I'll explain them in about a minute or so. So let's go about naming the keys, and first we're going to start with naming the white keys because the white keys are the easiest to name. So the white keys are named according to the alphabet, but not starting from A. So as you can see, where there's the blocks of black keys, right? So where we have the block of two, the note before that is where we start naming notes, or we can even say that's the start of a 12 block, a 12 note block. So this is like one block of notes here, here's another block of notes, here's another block, here's another block. So there's like blocks of 12 notes. So each block starts with the note just before the first note on the black one. So this is the first note, C. So after C, we have D. After D, we have E. Then we have F. Then we have G. Then we have A. Then we have B, and then we fall back on the C. So those are how the white notes are named. So to go over that again, so we look at the first block, the two note block of black keys, then the note just before. So this is where we start naming them from, and we always start naming from C. So once again, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then once again we have a C. So one of the other things to note about the notes on the keyboard is that they would just repeat themselves. So as we started on a C here, and then there's another C here, there's another C here as well, then there's another one here, there's one here, then there's one here, and so on and so forth. So whenever you can tell all the names of in any one section, you basically know the notes for the whole keyboard because it just repeats itself. So now let's talk about the black notes. So the black notes are named with reference to the white notes. So the black notes are called either sharps or flats of the white notes. So a sharp, right, is basically the next ascending note. So the next ascending note is what we call a sharp. And a flat is the next descending note. So we established that this is C. Okay? So if we're going to talk about this note, remember it's number 1, it's a black key. Number 2, it's the next ascending note from C. So therefore, the name of this note is C sharp. C sharp. But then, remember, we have this note, which is D. Now, this black note is in between them. So this black note, if you go here, is also what? Is the descending note. Is the next descending note from D. So it can also be called D flat. So with all the black keys, they basically have 2 names. So a sharp of one and a flat of the other. So as we said, this note here is the next ascending note from C, so C sharp, but it's also the next descending note from D, so D flat. So the next one, so after D is the next ascending note, so it's called D sharp, D sharp, but it's also the next descending note from E, so it's also called E flat. So once again, we have C sharp or D flat, and E flat, and D sharp or E flat. Okay, so the next one, so we said this is E, then we have F. So this black key is the next ascending note from F, so F sharp, but it's also the next descending note from G, so G flat. So this note is called F sharp or G flat. Now, this note, so from G is the next ascending note, so G sharp, but at the same time is the next descending note from A, so it's called A flat. So it's called G sharp or A flat. Then last but not the least, we have this one. So remember, F, G, A. So A, then it's the next ascending note, so it's going to be called A sharp. But it's also the next descending note from B, so it's called B flat. So now when we call them as sharps, we have C sharp, D sharp, F sharp, G sharp, and A sharp. When we call them as flats, we have D flat, E flat, G flat, A flat, and B flat. So those are the notes on the keyboard. So I hope you found this lesson very informative, and I hope you found it very easy to understand. And now in the next lesson, what are we going to cover? In the next lesson, we are going to be covering the major scale. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And yeah, I believe it's going to be very helpful. And yeah, see you there.